Hi, I'm Computational Mama. I'm an artist and creative technologist. My work explores code as a practice of care. I'm deeply interested in the spaces where AI, motherhood, and care meet. And over the past year, I've been creating a solar powered AI server that runs from the roof of my house. This project runs on a Raspberry Pi and explores the spaces where we can build agency and understanding around these new black box technologies that have become part of our everyday lives. To begin with, let me show you how my solar power server works. I have a solar panel that I've installed on my roof. It's just about the size of a very large poster. It connects to a solar charge controller, which is hooked up to a small battery and also to a Raspberry Pi. So in the day, the solar energy powers the Raspberry Pi, and in the night, the battery works as a backup. Once the solar setup is ready, you need to install Olama. Just follow the steps here and then make it a service available to anybody in your Wi-Fi network. And then finally, just test it using this code here, and you should be good to go. The guide that comes along with the video should give you all the small steps you need to follow and make this work on your system. Once I set up the solar power, I was interested in exploring how language models could be used on the Raspberry Pi. And I realized very quickly that due to the small size of the system, you could only run small language models. Small language models have become a popular option to run on small devices and seem to have gained a lot of popularity, particularly in robotics. But I really wanted to see, could it answer all those critical feminist questions that are always burning in my mind? The short answer was no. Even something as simple as asking it who was the feminist scholar Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak made up a strange and fairly inaccurate answer. So I wanted to understand what it could mean for us to train our own small language model. Now, this is not entirely possible with commercial laptops that we all have. It requires a lot more compute power. I don't have access to this. So, with some research, I found that a fine tuning process would be a good option. What this means is that if you have a small language model, you can add more of your own data and style by first freezing like 90% of the model and then training only that small 10% that's left. So, along with my collaborator Samira, we decided that we'll try to use two kinds of data in the training dataset. One would be a closed question answer type, which would be specific questions like who is Fei Fei Li, and there'll be an answer that she is a well-known computer scientist living in the US, etc., etc. The second would be more open-ended ones, which would be subjective answers. For example, here you can see me asking the model, what do you understand about the carrier bag theory of fiction by Le Guin? Our hope is that it can pick up feminist criticality while answering these questions and maybe also extend that to other queries you might pose to the language model. So once we've got the Google Sheet of data ready, we just download it as a CSV and we use simple tool like a CSV to JSON L converter. There are many available online, and we dump all the data there and make a JSON L file. This is the format that the fine tuning will require to be trained. Now let's get on to the more exciting part of fine tuning the model. This may look a bit intimidating with the terminal and very hacker-like, but I assure you it's only a few lines of code, and the document along with this video should give you all the words that you need to copy paste into the terminal. So just follow along. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll create a virtual environment in Python. This will make sure that whatever we do and experiment today doesn't affect anything else in your computer and everything is all safe. Then we will install the Python packages. We need to here MLX and MLXLM. They are specifically meant to be used on MacBooks with the M series chips. If you'd like to do this on Windows and Linux, you may have to look into other tools. Ideally, I would say look into Hugging Face and Unsloth. These are great resources to get started. Once we've got the packages installed, we'll start by training our LoRa. This just requires a very simple command. We start here by saying mlxlm.lora, and then we specify the model that we want to use along with where the data folder has the JSON-L files. The number of iterations suggests the number of times we want to fine-tune and train the model, and the higher you go, the better it will answer. But there is also a limit to how high you would like to go. Sometimes if you do too many, then the answers sound really strange. This is known as overfitting. So once you've done this, you should have a model ready to run. Here I've done about 1300 iterations. I have a MacBook M1 Air 16 GB. It's about 6 years old, and if you have a bigger, better computer, I can recommend that you can go higher in your iterations and also in the number of data points that we are using. So this took about 15 minutes, and then we've got our adapter LoRa ready to be used as a fine-tuned model. So the small language model along with the adapter work together to give you the fine-tuned answers. You'll use mlxlm.generate, add the model and the adapter that we created, add your prompt. Here we've used a prompt from Le Guin's Carrier Bag Theory of Fiction again, and then you'll ask it to output something. And then once you hit enter, it should give you a response which is closer to our fine-tuning data. But you may want to use this as a model on its own. So all we need to do is fuse the small language model along with this new fine-tuned adapter that we've created. So we'll take the fused model over to Ollama so that we can use it both in the chat interface and in the API too. The first thing we'll do is we will make a file called a model file. This doesn't have any extension, and you can just have one line that says from small fm. That is the fused model that we created, and then we will put in the command create Ollama and give the model a name. So here I've called it small fm, and then it will create the model, and then this model is usable in the Ollama chat interface or as an API call whenever required. So there you have it. Your trained model is ready, and you can explore and experiment how this responds to your burning questions. So this project is just a way for you to dip your toes and understand how you can feel a bit more agency with all these new black box technologies. I'd strongly encourage you to build the dataset with your friends and collaborators, sharing your critical perspective with others and jointly understanding the world. Perhaps a small ripple effect to create a joyous space for knowledge building and care forward tinkering with technology. Thank you.